Welcome back, everybody, to...
The Brink.
You want to say that into the microphone?
The Brink.
Yay! As we come to you for another episode of your favourite show in the world, and a busy episode this week. We've got a bit going on, which is great, and Mallory's already yawning on me, which is not so great. You might want to actually sit up and speak into the microphone. That's generally how it works. How are you this week?
I'm wonderful.
Why just wonderful?
What's better than wonderful?
Fantastic. I'm
wonderful.
What has made this week so wonderful?
I worked a lot.
Yeah, when was the last time you actually had a day off?
I don't know.
You worked pretty much non-stop, I want to say, for about 3 weeks. Nearly. Almost. Which is, I guess, good for the bank account, but not good for the non-bank account. I don't even know what that means. You have next weekend off. Where are we going next week?
Dunedin.
Yeah, everyone's favourite place in the world. I mean, it's better than Invercargill, isn't it? Yes?
Oh, is that a question?
Yes,
sure.
Generally when I ask a question, it responds with an answer, probably. During the week, we had some listeners, which was nice. Thank you for people tuning in. I'm seeing here 65% of people from the US, which is nice. 23% from Australia, 6% from the Netherlands. Who do you think that is?
Charlotte.
Is she in the Netherlands? Is she back?
No, I don't know.
No. Indonesia, 3%, and Spain, 3%, which is interesting. Leiden is the name of the place in the Netherlands where we had people listening, as well as Philadelphia. Scoreboard, that was against Raptors today. And Fayetteville. Now, what do you know? What can you tell me about Fayetteville?
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. You can't even say that it's in the US?
It's in the US.
It's in the US. That's good. And Everett, also in the US, in the top 2. It's interesting. When you look at these stats, do you think to yourself, well, at least we have listeners?
Yeah, I guess. I don't really think about it.
You're really in another great mood tonight, aren't you? Really,
The microphone is really far away from my face.
I'm leaning into it. You can lean into it. It's not that hard to lean into it. Okay, she's in one of these moods again. Fantastic. All right, we're going to go into another segment, and we're going to come back and ask. All right, let's get excited and press a button.
This is like a flashback. This is like a dream.
Flashing you back to some more exciting times from the year that was 2014, where we're hearing the following snippets with no explanation except for the title. Martina Hingis and Belinda Bencic interview. That one's pretty self-explanatory. Jeff Probst wants to sleep with you. Bert Newton loves Ben's mum. Libby Trickett is impressed with Ben. And The Amazing Racist. Sit back and enjoy.
Martina, how are you climbing Hobart? First time here as Mark just said. How's it going so far?
Well, I was excited to come here, so I have to thank you for the invitation. But except the landing, I like it. It's quite windy here, so it's a little similar where I grew up in Switzerland, and compared to Melbourne, it's like it's very green and it's very scenic from the plane already, and I hope I get to see a little bit more.
Does it spurn the desire to make that comeback that you often get asked about, to full-time tennis again?
I'm 33, but it's up to Belinda. Now it's the future of the tennis, and I played some doubles, but it's nothing to compare to having to go out there and play singles matches.
Could you tell us what those other projects are?
Well, we're doing like a tennis center in Barcelona with Felix Mantilla and Karim Perona, who is Tommy Robredo's coach, and currently Felix is also coaching Pablo Andujar, and we want to have more players come in, and so it's in the making.
How do you see the tour now to back when you started? Do you think it's a lot more competitive with everybody coming through the WTA tour at the moment?
Well, I wouldn't say so, because it's competitive. I mean, when I played, it was still the sisters were there. The Russian Armada came. You had Davenport. You had a stronger American field, Capriati, Celis. So I don't think it was that easy to be number one at that time. I mean, but definitely those big power players already came along. I think it was even more. Players were more educated or better educated. Now it's sheer power, which you kind of miss the players like myself or Justine Henin that are around. That's why, a fresh face like Ashley that actually can mix it up and play a drop shot. It's nice.
Belinda, obviously the future of Swiss tennis on the female side. Rod has obviously dominated for a very long time, but back to the days when you were dominating for the females.
Well, obviously, she's in the right direction. She learned a lot from my mom, so and she did really well last year. So definitely, if she continues that way and to progress like she did in the last 2 years, she has a bright future.
Are you looking forward to tomorrow night, Belinda, and getting out there and being up against Martina?
Yeah, very much. It's a really new experience for me. It's the first time I will play exhibition, something like this, and it's very honored that I can play with Martina. And also thank you for the invitation, so I can be here. And
You really want to win?
I think it's the most important. It's to play a good match for the crowd, and
Have you set yourself a goal for the end of the year to be at a certain point?
No, I didn't set like a goal that I have to be, for example, top. I don't know what. I just try to play from tournament to tournament. So.
Is it surprising to see Serena still at the top of the world, basically after all these years? I mean, she was back.
Well, not really. Maybe if I had her serve, I would kind of be playing too. Kind of helps.
So when Jeff Probst asks, would we have ever hooked up? What do I say to him? You mean as friends? And he says, no, in a sexual manner. And I kind of give him the once over, much like many of you have done to Morgan.
Yes.
And I said, I don't know, how tall are you? He says, what does that have to do with anything? I said, I don't think you meet my height requirement. And at this point, there's a little chuckle in the room. Because here's the most average person being cast for the show, basically challenging Jeff's manhood, right?
Yes.
He says, well, how tall do I have to be? I said, 6 feet. He says, well, Tom Cruise isn't 6 feet. I said, I have no interest in Tom Cruise. He says, well, Brad Pitt isn't 6 feet. I said, well, Brad Pitt gets a waiver. And he says, Brad Pitt gets a waiver and I don't? I say, you're no Brad Pitt.
Wow, he was just ready to kill you there, I would imagine.
And then a guy next to him, who I'm sure is some sort of bigwig, is kind of chuckling, as are all the women in the room. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, this is interesting. Who else is in? I said, hypothetically speaking, I'm a married woman. And he said, yeah, hypothetically speaking. I said, Ricky Schroeder. Do you know who that is?
I believe he was in a season of 24 for a little bit, and that was my only... But he's like a childhood actor or something, isn't he? Or
he was. In the 80s, he was in a show called Silver Spoons, which is the... Do you know the show, what's it called? Ocean Girl?
Yes.
Is that in Australia?
Yes.
There's like the cute blonde boy.
Yep.
That all the girls... That boy would be my Ricky Schroeder.
Okay.
Of my formative years.
Okay.
So I'd say Ricky Schroeder. And everyone starts, a few people, well, what? And the guy says, Ricky Schroeder from Silver Spoons? I said, yeah, I wrote him a lot of letters when I was 13, so I might as well seal the deal. And someone else says, so Ricky Schroeder over Jeff Probst? And I look right at Jeff and say, any day of the week. So... I think that set the tone for our relationship.
I'm looking forward to you answering one of our final five then about that. And I will also just let you know, Ricky Schroeder is a huge listener to this podcast, so you might get a phone call.
I have met Ricky.
Oh, okay.
At a reindeer gig at a celebrity party. I have a picture of me, and for years my husband kind of cock-blocked me. Ricky would be at these things, and I had a hall pass for Ricky. Yes. When you're married, you get, we call it a hall pass.
Is it the 5? Is it kind of like on Friends when they had the list of 5 that you could...
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
So Ricky's in mine. Mm-hmm. So there's Ricky at an event. I'm looking good. I'm wearing my jeans. I got a reindeer on a rope. He's going to be all over that. And my husband, you guys saw him, insecure giant man that he is. He won't let me get near Ricky because he knows I have the hall pass. And he's worried. He actually thinks someone would find me attractive, which is hilarious and endearing at the same time. But then we finally meet Ricky, and my husband says, I can't even talk to Ricky because I'm starstruck. I'm more starstruck than I was when I met Jeff Probst.
Wow.
Because there is Ricky Schroeder. Anyway, I couldn't even say anything. I was like a teenage girl. It was ridiculous.
I would be intrigued to know who else is on your hall pass list, Cass.
Well, gosh, who else? Colby Donaldson,
Yes.
obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, I took Jeff off after I met him.
Well, you're not getting a little bit excited then when he kind of mentions the fact, would we hook up? Like if that,
I think I may have rolled my eyes and gave him the grin, like, really? Because Jeff was sitting downstairs.
You should have been like, well, I've got like 5 minutes.
Like, that's the best you can do, Jeff, to try to throw me from my game? You totally don't get women, Jeff.
Before I let you go, Bert, I have had the request. Now my mother likes to sort of know who I'm interviewing, and I update her, and I sort of say, look, I'm speaking to Bert Newton today, and she sort of, her eyes have lit up. She's going, oh, you've got to mention that I want to say hello to Bert. And I don't often do this, Bert, so can I please pass on a hello from my mother to you this morning?
What's her name?
Her name is Kim.
Kim?
Yes.
Kim, this is Bert here. All the very best to you. Thank you for asking after me. I'm sure Ben wasn't telling a lie. I really hope that you said, well, please say hello to Bert for me. I'm saying hello to you. You've got a great son with a big future, and I hope that your life is filled with lots of love and good things at the moment and for the future too.
The other thing that we're going to do, well, I don't know about Essen, but I'm going to make a television series called The Amazing Racist. It's going to be really racist people running around the world, fucking off everyone.
I'd watch that.
The Amazing Racist?
Well, you could get someone. I'm not saying that Jared is racist, but I mean, every single country they went to, and they're like, oh, they don't bloody speak English.
Yeah, must get Jared on the show.
Hey, so I've also been doing a bit of stand-up comedy as well. And if I come to Aussie, I'll let you know. Just in the off chance,
please do.
Any of your listeners,
We will. If they don't, we will.
Hobart.
We will come and watch, Christy. We will.
I will definitely go to Melbourne. Melbourne. I'll definitely go to Melbourne. I don't know if I'll have the liquid capital, as it were, to go to a lot of places, but I'll let you know if I do. And
if you go to Melbourne, it's a $40 flight down to Hobart. It takes 50 minutes. You'll be right.
I'll be right.
You'll be right.
Stay with
got at least 2 people coming to watch.
Yeah, 2 people. We'll buy the tickets for it. We'll buy all the tickets for you. It looks like you started.
I'll do a Kickstarter, and people can.
You can sleep on our couches. There you go. You don't even have to pay for accommodation.
There you go. You can clean off any debris that might be in there.
Yes, it's just sitting there all the time. So.
Do you provide a sleeping bag
as
well?
Of course, why not? We'll even.
That's going a bit far. We don't have them in Hobart.
You can save Christy $10 on no luggage fees.
Well, look. I live in the actual city. Noah lives in bumfuck nowhere. So we have sleeping bags here.
Yeah, not down here.
Do they have good fish and chips in Bumfuck though?
No.
Did you get a deep fried tarantula?
Well, you could actually. I reckon you got a Korean grocer there, so I don't know what they cook there, but.
Well, I'd love to meet. I've been watching the boat.
Ben, it sounds like you should be on The Amazing Race.
I probably should be.
I'm only racist against New Zealanders. It's fine. Libby Trickett. The names are mixed up. I'm going back in time. Libby, welcome to the Brink and Edge Radio.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And what a blast from the past. I'm glad you remembered my maiden name. That was very impressive.
Oh, look, that just shows how much of fans we are here on this show, Libby. Where we are stuck in the past, apparently. But
long-time fans.
Yes. And we're back. You excited? She's yawning again. Well,
I don't know why this room gives me the yawns.
Well, it's maybe this podcast. I don't know. We are going to ask some more of these emergency questions by Richard Herring. Of course, we are trying to get through all 500 of them. As always, we're not getting through them all in 1 week. But we are now up to, I believe, 341 to 360 potentially. We are, and you get to ask them this week because you haven't asked them in quite some time. So you're gonna, that's why you're gonna lean into the microphone, because things like that happen. If you hold that, thank you, and lean into the microphone, that would be fantastic. She's giving me a look.
341. What's the absolute worst thing about the film Sliding Doors?
That's got Gwyneth Paltrow in it. That's about all I know about it. I don't know. I've never seen it. It's got Gwyneth Paltrow in it. Is that the worst thing about it? I mean, I don't dislike Gwyneth Paltrow. I couldn't tell you. Have you seen it?
No, I didn't even know Gwyneth Paltrow was in it until you said that. 342. How would you feel if you discovered all your memories were implanted and you were just a robot in a tourist attraction where people paid to interact with you?
I would feel pretty shocked, I would say.
Yeah, that feels like a good answer. I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know. 343. What's the strangest thing that has entered your anal canal?
Well, I mean, this sounds wrong the way I say it. I would say my finger, but not for reasons that you would think. Nothing has ever entered my anal canal except for my finger, but that's when I'm wiping my bum. You know, or to scratch it. Like, not for any gratification.
344.
You're not going to answer it?
Do you have a favorite plate?
You're not going to answer it? We've only got, 8 plates, so...
We only have... Oh, we do have little plates, don't we?
The third little one.
We used to have these blue plates growing up. My parents used to have these blue plates. I really liked them. They were very large.
Okay.
Have you ever fallen out of a hammock? Yes.
I don't know if I've ever been in a hammock. Why are you shocked that I haven't been in a hammock?
How have you never been in a hammock?
Sure, we'll say yes. If I've been in one, I've probably fallen out of one.
346. What is the most alarming thing that has entered or exited your body?
Entered or exited? I used to swallow paper. I don't think I've ever swallowed anything or put anything in other, no, I don't, yeah, no, I nothing.
My brother got a chopstick stuck in his ear once.
How is that possible?
He stuck a chopstick in his ear and it got stuck, and Mum took him to the doctor.
Okay.
Yep.
You're not answering these questions for yourself, by the way.
Poo. 347.
Entering or exiting?
Exiting. Which actor, male or female, do you think would make the worst James Bond?
Oh, that's a great question. I would go out on a limb and say Amy Schumer.
I just have no cares. I don't know.
I mean, random actor. This is an easy question. You could just think of the most outlandish actor that would not be good at James Bond.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. would be a great James Bond.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt would be an alright James Bond.
Well, I give up. Desert Island Dirks. If you were stranded on a desert island but were able to take 8 Dirks with you, which 8 Dirks would you take?
There was a Dirk on the first season of Survivor, so I would take him, even though he wasn't very good, but he was on Survivor, so... I don't know if I know any other Dirks.
I'm pretty sure there's a country music singer named Dirk, but I can't remember his last name.
Yeah, I would just go with Survivor Dirk, just because, again, he was on Survivor, so, slightly up there, I guess.
Alright, 349. If you had to choose between killing all of the eggheads or all of the chasers on the chase, if you had to, which group of quiz nerds would die? I'd say the eggheads because I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know what the eggheads are, so yeah, let's go with the eggheads.
What do you think Ben Shepherd really feels about presenting Tipping Point?
I think he wakes up every day and hates his life. I have no idea who that is, but I just...
The guy who presents Tipping Point.
Yeah, but I don't know.
You don't know what Tipping Point is?
I don't know.
It's a game show where they answer questions, and if they get the answer right, then they get to put a Plinko in the Plinko machine, And when they knock things off of the Plinko machine, each one is worth like $100.
Oh, we had a game like that, but it wasn't called that. And it was stupid. I hated it. It was dumb. It was really dumb. Or maybe it was called Tip. I don't know. It was just stupid. It was such a stupid show. Good to see you're on board.
Sorry. 351. Have you ever sucked on a fisherman's friend? Lowercase.
Lowercase? No.
Me either.
That's
352. If you had to give cunnilingus to a fish, if you had to, which fish would you look out?
I would say whatever the type of fish that Nemo is.
Aw, little Nemo.
But not Nemo, like it'd be a female. Clownfish, that's what they are.
Yes. An angelfish. 353. Have you ever been in the vicinity of a celebrity when they have farted? How was it?
I'm sure I've been in the vicinity of a celebrity when they've farted, but I have not heard them fart. The closest I ever got to someone, and they could have been famous in Sri Lanka. Sam and I were in the Cricket Media Centre once, and there was a Sri Lankan journalist standing in front of us, and he let rip very loudly in front of us. So, I mean, he could be like Sri Lanka's Stephen Colbert for all I know. So it was funny because we heard it, and Sam and I both looked at each other, and we just cracked up laughing.
All right, my answer is no. 354.
I've farted in front of you.
Oh, yes. 354. Can you name a solo artist that has had a number one in the 1980s that would have scored under 7 points on Pointless? What's Pointless?
I have no idea, but I would go with Cyndi Lauper.
Can you name one for me, too?
You meant to answer these questions. Eddie Murphy.
Yep, that's what I chose. 355. Have you ever gone chasing waterfalls? Yes.
No, because TLC told me not to.
356. How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man?
3.
Rich says 11. I say 25.
Okay. That's why I'm not a man, clearly.
Why do they call the place you put your fresh bread a bread bin? Why do they call the place where you dispose of your non-fresh bread a... What? And why do they call the place where you dispose of your non-fresh bread? What do they call? Oh my gosh.
A regular bin. I don't know why they do it. Why a pants called a pair of pants and there's only one of them?
Moving on. 358.
You're not answering these questions.
I don't know. We don't call it a bread bin in our country.
You could say that and answer it.
358. Have you ever been possessed by a demon or been accused of being a demon? And are you a demon?
No. Yes.
No. You're a demon?
In the sack, baby. She wouldn't know.
359. Have you ever pretended to be your own twin, whether you have one or not?
No. I'd like to, but no.
Also no, but Sabrina and I used to pretend to be twins, and that was fun.
Spitting images of each other.
Obviously. 360. What is the worst song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I only know their most famous ones. That "Give It Away" song it's a bit annoying after a while because it's like give it away now. Give it like it's just kind of like okay, we get it. You want to give it away now, so sure.
I guess I'll also choose that one because that's like one of the only 4 I know.
What are the other 3 that you know?
Snow.
Snow? What's Snow?
Under the Bridge.
I don't know Snow.
The Hey-O song? No.
No.
Yeah, that's Snow. It's called Snow, and in
I like
it's called Hey-O.
Danny Californication, because that's like
I know
you've got
that
to.
one too.
They list like about 20 different US states or something. It's very catchy. But Under the Bridge is probably their best one. So, yeah, all right. Thank you for that, and I guess we will do more of them next week. Pleasure to always welcome this person back to the show. Let me first by playing a little bit of DC talk. Because it's Joshua Shoeridge! Yay! Thank you.
I still think it's funny you use that intro music for me.
I discovered that is not the original. That somebody else sang Jesus is Still Alright with Me, before DC Talk, because in the radio station that the ladies in my office listen to, it's like one of these ones that plays like old fuddy-duddy music. Basically, it came on the radio, and I'm like, this isn't DC Talk. It was like really old. So, yeah. Did you know it was not an original?
Wow. Something tells me I did. But there's lots of songs like that are like that. Like there's like Katy Perry ripped off Teenage Dream.
Did she?
Didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
She did. She ripped it off and turned it to even sexier.
Well, Jesus Still Just Alright is a gospel song written by Arthur Reed Reynolds and performed by the Art Reynolds Singers in their 1966 album Telling It Like It Is. There you go. But it has also been covered...
Was that like a Harlem gospel choir sort of thing?
Potentially, but I'm reading here that it has been covered by a number of bands, including The Byrds, Underground Sunshine, the Doobie Brothers, Alexis Corner, The Ventures, DC Talk, Stryper, Shaylee MacDonald, and Robert Randolph, featuring Eric Clapton. There you go.
Wow. And you know what's funny? Like, only one of those is a hip-hop sort of, rap like group. They're like the Doobie Brothers.
Doobie Brothers.
They're like Doobie. You need doobies to get into their music, in my opinion. But anyway, people who like that music probably don't listen to this podcast. So,
well, speaking of music, I'm excited to be able to press this button. It's that time of the week to play everybody's favorite game show. It's Forget the Lyrics here on the Brink on Edge Radio. Over to the studio. And have original Forget the Lyrics on this week. Yay! We play classic ones all the time, and Mallory and I sort of started doing it on the Better Mal Variety Hour, but then she chickened out and didn't want to do them anymore, so I got upset. So I want to keep singing because I'm an unrealised rock star, and you're the only man who will do this with me. Well, that will do it on short notice. So we're going to do a solo each.
Yeah, that is true.
And
that
a duet, and bring back the good old days of this. And as always, we're doing this over Skype, so it's kind of slightly weird, but who gives a rat's? This might be the first ever cross-country version of Forget Lyrics ever. So get excited.
International.
Now,
because cross country is more something that both of us hated in high school.
Yeah, true. That's very true. Now, we'll do the solos first. And would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I want you to go first.
I knew you were going to say that because you're...
I haven't done this in how long?
Not as far... Like, we did it last year at one point when I was in Brisbane, so, you know.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah.
At least once.
Oh, yeah?
All right, I'm going to do Rocket Man by Elton John because, A, I don't think we've ever done an Elton John song before, and B, the movie's coming out.
So
looks
you're
fantastic.
singing a bit of Reg Dwight, are you?
A bit of Reg Dwight, absolutely. It doesn't really sound like that. But yeah, so Rocket Man's coming out soon, and it looks good, and I think it's appropriate. Now, of course, you have to come up with a topic for me. What is the topic you were going to give me?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Thanks.
I would like you... You know what? I want you to sing about... No, that's bad.
I don't even want to know.
I was going to say Jacinda Ardern, but
I can sing about Jacinda Ardern. What's bad about that?
Because you'll probably tell me to sing about Scott Morrison, and I have nothing on him.
I don't want to sing about Scott Morrison.
Scott Morrison!
The wall in front of me is more exciting than Scott Morrison, and it's also less tragic. It doesn't try to be cool, so... He's a Shark supporter. That's the only good thing about him, is he's a Shark supporter.
There's a picture of him at Hillsong with his hands up in the air going, yeah, mate. I'm sorry.
I will sing about Jacinda if you want me to.
No, I want you to sing about the All Blacks.
Oh, the All Blacks! Oh, shit. Might have the New Zealand version of ASIO listening in. They don't have a version of ASIO over here, come on. Oh, brew, we don't need security. Anyway, all right, okay. Well, of course, you are going to be in the weird position here of not actually hearing the music, so you just have to pretend that you can hear the music, whereas everyone else at home will hear the music. All right. So, Forget Lyrics. Me singing about the All Blacks to Elton John's classic Rocket Man. Let's do this. They play a game called Rugby Union. There's a bunch of men with big thick arms, and they're really good at it. Thanks for the piano. It's really unusual to see New Zealand good at sport, but you've gotta give them something, so the world lets them win at rugby. And I think it's time to sing about the All Blacks, because they're really good at their sport. It's weird to say that about New Zealand, because they're the All Blacks. All Blacks. Not every single one of them is not Caucasian. It's slow. No, that's not it. Whoops. Yes, and then they're just gonna play on the field. I stuffed up that bit of the song. I didn't know that that bit was next. Oh, no, no, no. I'm good at forgetting the lyrics. All Blacks, get back on the topic of the song. Oh, there's like that weird break bit. Okay, hang on. I couldn't name any of the players for them, except for Richie McCaw. Yes, hang on. But he doesn't play for them anymore. I think he retired. I did actually interview a couple of them the other month. I had somebody in the crowd say, hey, they're the All Blacks. All Blacks. Yeah. They were nice. And I think the Rugby World Cup is on this year. The All Blacks have won the last two. Can they win a third one again? Oh, no, no, no. They're gonna choke. Gonna choke. I think the Wallabies won't win either. Probably like South Africa or something, I don't really know. And the All Blacks gonna lose again, yes they will. Actually, I know who will win, it will be Ireland. They beat them last year in a game of rugby. Go Ireland! Beat the All Blacks! All Blacks blue! Playing rugby on the field in New Zealand. Okay. This song goes on for a very long time. I'm gonna fade it out. I'm not too happy with that, Josh.
I'm not either, mate.
No, I started off really well, and then I dropped a semi-racist line in the middle of it, and I didn't recover afterwards. So,
oh my goodness, you just pulled a Isaac Butterfield.
Why?
Have you not seen what's been going on with him?
Yeah, I saw it all. I follow it. I think he's that's a topic for another day. I want to get him on the show. I'm going to try and get him on the show actually to see if we can.
I've already sent him a interview request, so you can be on my show when he comes on my show if you want.
I will gladly accept that. Give me a 10 out of no, don't give me a 10. Give me like a 2. I would say maybe.
That's like a 50-50, like 2's you good, 1's you crap, 0 you should die.
Wow, that escalated quickly.
I'll give you, I'll give you out of 10, I'll give you a good solid 5 because it's a good try, good effort. You tried, you stuck with it. You dropped a racist remark. That's always points in my book.
Semi-racist.
That's what she said. Yeah, no, it was good. You could. I reckon the topic hurt you. That's my opinion.
I think that song actually is just one of those ones that, like, you know it and you think it's going to be epic, but then when you get into it, you kind of get bored of it like a minute and a half in. Like, it's kind of like, I mean, really, like, this song doesn't change from this point on. It doesn't build up. It doesn't get you excited. Like, you know, it's...
So it's sort of like sex with your high school crush. Like, if you get there, you're like, yeah, and then you're, like, bored after 10 seconds because she's got no personality.
If I had sex with Grace Wilkinson, I wouldn't be bored, mate. Like, just... No, what are you talking about?
I'm just surprised you dropped the name.
She's married and has a kid now. She doesn't know who I am anymore. I haven't talked to her in, like, 11 years, 12 years. And was it even high school? Because if I had a high school crush, I would be gay. So, no, like...
Okay, that's true. Okay,
You were my high school crush, Josh. You were my high school crush.
You.
Yep.
You. No. Anyways.
Your turn.
Moving on.
You are going to be... Tell us what you're going to be doing here, Joshua.
I'm doing a bit of Cat Stevens.
Yusuf Islam. Josh?
Pardon?
Yusuf Islam is his name? Or did he go back to Cat Stevens?
No, it says in the thing, Cat Stevens and Yusuf Islam. I'm like, well... You're still Cat Stevens, mate. So
I have been within about 30 centimetres of Yusuf Islam. One of the 2 times I saw the project live, I was lining up to go into the studio, and he was on the show that night, and they walked him right past me, and then I was in the audience when he got interviewed. So just a slight little brag there, everyone. Not really.
Yeah, have a brag.
I will after this show.
Have a brag.
I'm thinking about Grace Wilkinson now, so I probably will after this show. So you are going to be singing to Father and Son, Cat Stevens, and your topic is the father-son relationship between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker.
Oh, wow. Gave me something I actually know a little bit about.
I thought hard about this one. All right. Moving over to the studios now, Josh. You can do it. Over to you, Cat Stevens, Father and Son. Over to you, my friend.
Hitting play right now. Boom, ba-doo, boom. Ba-doo, boom. Boom, ba-doo, boom. Luke, it's time to come to me. Join the dark side, have a red lightsaber. You will know that the power is so much stronger over here. You will have many times an opportunity to destroy many. Look at me. I am dark and I'm happy. I was big like you're not. I was 6 foot, you're only 5'4". I am big. I kill kids and I hate Wookiees. R2 is my favorite droid, yet I built C-3PO, and you still talk to him, but not R2 anymore. Do-do-do. Dad, I want you to be light side, but I know that you are dark. I am Luke, you are Darth. I have a green lightsaber. Red's kind of pussy if you ask me, but I know that Leia likes me and she hates you. She wants you dead 'cause you blew up Alderaan. You blew up Alderaan.
You're on a roll.
It's a very beautiful musical break right now.
Best part of the song.
Hell yeah. Luke, it's me, the Palpatine. I've seen your father grow, and so I've seen you as a young teenager. Your rebellion will be quashed. Join your father so you can have this sick Death Star ride. I will kill all of your friends so you can be with your father. I'm not going to let you die, son. This is a ghost version of Anakin. I will keep you at my side with Obi-Wan and Yoda. We will watch you creepily from the side of the party on Endor with Wicket and all the other furry prigs. We'll watch you with all the furry prigs. Oh man, that was so hard to keep a straight voice on that one.
I'm saying this right now. I've been present for all, however many of these we've done over the course of like a decade. That might be the best one I've ever heard. That tops the Arnold Schwarzenegger "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." That on topic the whole time. You kept in tune. You kept on board. You did random voices before quickly saying that, you explained them. 10 out of 10. Hands down.
Oh, mate.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That was the Tiger Woods comeback of forget the lyrics.
Oh, man, that was funny.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I'm kind of nervous now to go into this next one.
What are we picking? Oh, yeah.
Now, you I feel that you can go first. You're on a bit of a roll right now, so I feel like you're there.
It all depends on the topic, though. That's the thing.
Well, look, I don't usually do this. Usually the person who goes first doesn't choose a topic, but again, you're on a roll. I feel like you need to be rewarded here. Make it easy for yourself. Give us a topic that you feel you can easily sing about.
Oh, man. Let's do the Marvel Universe.
Okay. Done.
I think it's fitting. What do you reckon?
I think it's very true, Josh, that it is fitting. All right. We've queued this up, each on our own little aspect here of about the beginning of it. So we're going to count to 3. We're going to hit play. We should say this is the greatest show from the movie The Greatest Showman. We should really mention that. So, and we're singing about the Marvel Universe. You've kind of got to, I don't know at what point you want me to come in, but you'll tell me at some point during the song. Okay. All right. We're ready?
Hold on.
Yes.
I am doing something here to cheat a little bit.
That's disgusting.
No, I don't want the chronological order.
Oh, he's pulling up the list.
I am pulling up the list. I need to make sure I'm right. Here we go. Oh, that's Urson.
That's Urson.
All right. Okay. So we're going here. Okay.
All right.
This is always the annoying thing.
There's a.
All right. How about? This is going to be hard. So.
That's what she said.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, just trying to work out where you come in.
Look, you get the vibe. There'll come a point where you go, okay, Ben, and over to you. So I trust your judgment. All right, we ready? We're gonna hit this. 3.
Yep.
2, 1. Let's do it.
Black Widow. Thor. Loki.
That'd be like the Skywalker.
Iron Man 1 was the first thing that came out. Incredible Hulk came out in 2008 and sucked. In 2010, we got Iron Man 2, and it kicked some people's butts. Then came out Natalie Portman in Thor 1. It's got to come out some other time. It's this best movie that you ever will find. It's not Star Wars, but it's something we like. It's the MCU, because it's gonna kick ass. It's Iron Man 3, Thor, Dark World, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy. Avengers of Age of Ultron was kind of crappy. Bang!
You said that the Hulk sucked. Mate, that's really, truly fucked. It was a good film, underrated. Yeah, Iron Man 2 really sucked. Age of Ultron was pretty crap. Then came Ant-Man, which was the clap. Captain America, Civil War, Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Spider-Man Homecoming, for Ragnarok. Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War. Iron Man and the Wasp was actually really good. Because if you think about it, Captain Marvel was just a sexist pig. That's right, I said that. This afternoon, I'm seeing Endgame! Yeah!
I've already seen Endgame, it is really good. I could tell you more, but it will give you wood. Watching people fight, making them all bite. It's the MCU! Oh, I still prefer DC. Those films are better than they give it credit for. Shazam was really good, so was Batman vs Superman. Oh, but we're here to talk about the MCU! It's everything you ever need. There's lots of characters like Creed. Captain Marvel wasn't good. She doesn't give me wood. But that's not what it's all about. That was sexist, you stupid trout. But what you should really want is to see the X-Men 2. It's called the X-Men 2!
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna finish it up. Spider-Man Far From Home comes out later in the year with Guess Who? Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterion. And apparently in 2022 we get Guardians of the Galaxy! Scotland!
This is the MCU! This is the MCU! This is the MCU!
Hashtag bring back Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, yo! Hashtag bring back Tobey Maguire as Doctor Doom!
What they did that?
Hashtag insert hashtag here, yo!
Show.
Hashtag
Star Wars is the greatest show.
Deadpool.
James Bond is better than that. Deadpool was the big guy who I love.
Hugh Jackman.
Aquaman, I just want to marry him.
No, he's a pussy. Shave that beard, Jason Momoa, yo! I do love the accurate description at the end. That was shit. Oh, you brought in your child. So bad was your singing that Josh's child has brought in
a broken piggy bank.
I think Josh needs to depart right now. Josh, I'm giving you a 7.
Yeah, I deserve that.
What do I get?
Just give me a second.
Give me a number and I'll let you go. Give me a number and I'll let you go.
I'm going to give you 7-2.
Perfect. All right, Josh, go deal with your children. It's been fun. Thank you and good night. We only ever seem to talk to this guy whenever there's hockey involved, and we've waited a month. Well, not really a month, a few weeks really, to talk about things because we thought nothing could possibly be any different in these NHL playoffs. Everything would just go the way we thought it would, so we might hold off during them. But what the hell happened? Welcome back to the show, Colin Hilding. Colin, what the hell has happened in these playoffs?
I want to rename Colin 1 out of 8 Hilding from now on.
I got 1 out of 8 as well. Like, I think everyone did. Like, this is ridiculous how these playoffs have gone. I mean, not a single number 1 seed made it through to the second round. The side that tied a record for most regular season wins in the history of the competition, swept by a team that has never won a playoff series in their lives. I mean, that should have been a bit of a preview for what was going to come after that, right? We all thought, that's just one off. But then everyone, Calgary are gone, Toronto are gone. That's not unusual. But, like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, Winnipeg, Nashville, it's just, it's so bizarre. And it's funny because it's not just me and you. I can't even tell you how many people, especially once Tampa Bay was out, it's like, well, there goes my bracket. Like, that was everybody. And so much so that, the NHL, they started advertising all these commercials on TV here during the playoffs before the first round was even over. It says, introducing NHL's second chance bracket. Because they just knew, it was like, well, there's never going to be a winner to this thing. We might as well just give everybody a do-over.
Have they announced it? Did anyone even, like, what was the highest that anyone could possibly have gotten? Like, have they, because usually they do sort of news around this, wouldn't they? Because, honestly, like, if anybody came out of that picking 8 out of 8, they should be the winner right around right now. Like, there's no way they shouldn't be just handed the chance to win it.
Yeah, I found something where there was standings and there's several people who are all like 300 points. Like, I don't know how the points are all awarded, except I barely hit double digits, let alone triple digits. So some people out there might have... Anybody who got that high, they did theirs ironically. They're like,
no, they were high.
Blue
You just
check.
said they got that high. Yeah. They were high when they did it.
But, like, how else do you explain somebody's like, I'm going to pick Columbus, I'm picking St. Louis, I'm picking San Jose. It just never ends. Like, and I think we even talked about last time, like, some of these teams I thought there's a chance that they're just going to flop, like Calgary, because so little playoff experience recently. Winnipeg, coming off of the high last season, they really struggled at the end of the year. But every single team went down. And I'm happy that at least one of these teams went through. I mean, at least in one series, I'm happy. In a way, I'm happy. Well, I'm definitely happy for the Islanders, because next to the Jets, or sorry, the Leafs, that would be my number 1. Jets would have been my number 3. And or Tampa Bay as well. Well, let's just say everybody failed except for the Islanders. So I was happy during one series here. The Calgary one, of course, being the big disappointment, but it's still a little bit exciting that the teams we're seeing in the second round, we're going to be getting something fresh as long as Boston doesn't win.
Well, just really quickly before I go over that, so I found the leaderboard, and according to this, there are 5 people who actually predicted all 8 of the winners. So that is ridiculous. So they get 392 points, but even below that, people who obviously must have gotten 7 out of 8. But so and if you can click on their usernames and you can see that they did predict them. So this user here, John.VDB, did accurately predict every single winner. So that is absolute craziness. Alan.1, Alan, Yotes 2019, followed by 3 weird emojis, somebody called Joey, and then Oliver.2, and they're the ones who have the 5 people that have correct. That is madness. But I mean, admittedly, I think you can submit about... Can you do as many as you want, or could you only do like 3 or something like that? So you could technically sit down and do as many as you want and do every single possible outcome if you had the time. So I mean,
what was that? What John.2? I wonder how well John.1, John.3, John.4, whatever did.
And to compare ours, so the only one that you got correct was the Islanders, if I'm not mistaken. No, Dallas. You didn't even predict the Islanders.
Yeah.
So Dallas was the only one you correctly predicted. Your initial champion was Tampa Bay to beat Vegas in the final. So there you go. And my only correct one was the Islanders. I'm getting myself mistaken. So my initial prediction was Calgary beating Tampa Bay's revenge in the Stanley Cup final. So
You know what's really funny about that? Like when you created this league, you're like, hey, this is something you're guaranteed to beat me in. It's like, oh, I'm going to get schooled by you. I edited my picks on the last day to include Dallas because I originally picked Nashville. So I could have gone 0 for 8. And at the last minute, I'm like, you know what? Looking at like the last half dozen games Dallas had, I think Dallas could sweep them. So I changed it to Dallas at the last minute. But I originally had Nashville. So you can claim that your first instinct is at least better than mine.
Well, this is the part where I should shut up and just go, yeah, absolutely. But I have a feeling that I was going to pick Pittsburgh because I'm thinking like, well, playoff experience, they've won it a couple of times in the last like 3 or 4 years. Sure, that's got to help. Whereas the Islanders, I think it's been a while. So I think I really tossed and turned between that one. I just went with the Islanders in the end. So I think that was just pure luck. But yeah, as you said, they've now offered this chance to do the second chance one. And so I don't know if you've got yours in front of you, but mine basically, I've predicted San Jose to beat Colorado. I've predicted St. Louis to beat Dallas. I've got the Islanders to beat the Hurricanes. And then I've got the Blue Jackets to beat the Bruins. Because fuck it, like, I think I read a stat that the only time teams have ever eliminated the President's Cup trophy in a sweep, they've always gone on to win the Stanley Cup or something like that. And then I've got the Blue Jackets beating the Islanders. I've got the Blues beating the Sharks. So I have the Stanley Cup final being the Blue Jackets and the Blues. That's confusing. And I've got in 7 games the Columbus Blue Jackets as your Stanley Cup champions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine the wonders that would do for merchandise for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Because most people still aren't aware they're a team. Yeah. By the end of this season, people will finally know Columbus has a team. There's probably one of the funniest movies ever made, Major League, with Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes. Do you ever see that?
A long time ago, yeah.
It's a baseball movie about the worst Cleveland Indians team that anybody could put together. Where the owner just was looking to relocate the team, so she intentionally got all the worst players she could find and hoped that they would do badly enough that the league would allow them to leave. And I guess the Cleveland Indians were the joke at the time. And there's a great scene where Tom Berenger's character, is saying what he does for a living. And he's like, oh, I play for Major League Baseball. Oh, for what team? Oh, here in Cleveland. And this one lady's like, I didn't know we still had a team. That's just what I think about with Columbus, except there's people going, I didn't know they had a team. I don't know if that would be disastrous for the NHL to have Columbus win, because I guess a lot of these non-hockey markets have won before, and it's given them a big boost. Like Tampa Bay, they got a huge boost by being able to win. I don't know if it really ever happened in Carolina. Like Carolina still doesn't seem like it's a hockey state, and yet them winning, obviously you would have thought that would have done huge for. I can never see Columbus winning a Stanley Cup. It's just I can't see it happen. I know you're rooting for mostly because they knocked out Lightning, but it's just. I would either want to throw up or I would applaud, just out of the humor of the situation.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Carolina. Carolina's the other team that I always forget exists too. So we legitimately could have a reasoning in the conference finals that we could have the two teams that I forget exist battling each other for a spot. But I mean, I said this to you off air. I really have no fucks on this playoffs now. I really generally that would be then a case of okay, well, I'll just go for the Canadian team, or there'd be a team if Vegas had made it, I would have been a bit keen on Vegas, just or a team that has not won it forever or anything like that. So that's kind of where I'm looking at this now. So, I mean, Colorado, I know you've talked a lot about in the past about how there were a lot of people in Winnipeg who hated Vegas because they knocked them out, and you're almost the opposite. You generally go for the team that knocks your team out because, I mean, I should be pissed off at Colorado. I'm not. And because, I've seen an Avs game. I don't mind the Colorado Avalanche, so I don't hate them. But again, this is where I think I base my opinions on, well, who's won it? Who hasn't won it in a long time? And obviously Colorado won a couple, in the last 20 years. The Sharks, I always get the Sharks confused with the Lightning, so I feel like I should hate the Sharks, but they're not even close geographically. So I think I'm on the Sharks, the Blues, and the Blue Jackets bandwagon right now. Just because Dallas, I have a thing against Texan sporting teams. I just don't give a shit. I don't have nothing against Texas. It's just kind of like Florida sporting teams. Like, St. Louis, again, not a fan of the city. I've never been there, but I don't really have much to say about the city. But again, the Blues, my football team in Australia is the Blues, and they've never won it, so there's something for that. The Blue Jackets gone over then. Boston, just fuck off, Boston. Okay, you've won the World Series, you've won the Super Bowl.
Stop winning!
Stop winning! All right, no, Boston, you've got a beautiful city. I love your city, but your teams, just stop it. Carolina, well, they exist apparently. They won it. What was it? 2006. They won it. And then the Island, like, again, I love New York, but to me, New York is the Rangers, not the Islanders. Like, it's just a joke my dad and I have. It's kind of like, he goes for, like, the Rangers, the Giants, the Yankees, and the Knicks, and it's kind of like, the Mets, who? The Nets. Like, the B New York teams. But I wouldn't mind seeing the Islanders win it just because, again, New York, and they haven't won it, since, like, 83, so... good scenarios here. Outside of Boston, who won it, in 2011, none of these sides have won it in the last 10 years. So there's that to look at.
And you've got, at least 3 teams in here who have never won it. So we could have something fresh. Out of all those teams, obviously the Islanders are the ones I'm rooting for because next to the Leafs, I've always kind of loved the Islanders most. There are always these teams that you'll root for no matter what. And like Toronto and the Islanders have always been those teams for me. And then there's the other teams that like you loved at some point in the past, so you always secretly root for them, but your fandom is tied more to the past teams they had than just the club itself. That's kind of what Colorado is to me, because during Colorado, like 96 when they won, and then especially in the early 2000s, if I were to pick like my favorite roster of all time, it would be the early 2000s Colorado Avalanche. And if I were to probably pick, which team outside of the Leafs I was ever into the most, it would have been the Avalanche in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like, I loved the Avalanche so much during that time period. But once, all those great players that I grew up watching retired, I never really followed them as much. But I'm always secretly rooting for their return. And this is one year where there's a chance that, Colorado's really come back, and then I could be a Colorado Avalanche fan again. With the teams like St. Louis, it would be cool if they did win, but as a Leafs fan and knowing that the Leafs and St. Louis are tied for the most seasons without a Stanley Cup win, I don't want St. Louis to win before Toronto because I want St. Louis to at least experience some of the criticism that Toronto experiences. Dallas, I'm kind of with you. Just Dallas also won so much growing up. It's sort of like the Red Wings. The way that you feel about Boston now and the kind of way I feel about Boston, I still kind of feel that way about like Dallas and Detroit just because I saw it so much. But as far as my predictions go, outside of Colorado and San Jose, who I wouldn't mind either of those teams winning, or the Islanders, I'm not really rooting for any of these either. But I had Dallas winning over St. Louis. I had did I have San Jose? I don't have it in front of me. I'm just trying to remember. I don't remember who I had. I might have had San Jose over Colorado. I had Boston over Columbus, sorry. And I had the Islanders over Carolina because I bet against the Islanders, my other team, and it burned me last time. And I saw you get a point from it. So if I had just followed my heart, I'd be winning right now. And then ultimately I picked Boston to go over the Islanders to the finals and Dallas to go to the finals as well. And I predicted Dallas to win the whole thing just because I feel like Dallas is what Los Angeles Kings were when they won. That team that sort of they squeezed in there just by really doing well in the last couple of weeks of the regular season and then just blows everybody in the way in the playoffs. So I'm predicting at this point that Dallas is going to win, which means it's most likely that whichever team neither of us has picked is the one that's going to win. So what do our predictions say? Did either of us not pick any of these teams?
Well, if you picked the Sharks, I didn't pick the Avs. So, the Avs are going to win it.
There's your winner.
Or Carolina, because I don't think either of us picked Carolina as well.
Yeah.
2 quick questions before we go. As a Toronto fan, though, like, seriously, how are you feeling? I make fun of you, but, like, again, Game 7, again, Boston, how does it feel?
I mean, this is 3 years in a row where they've been knocked out in the first round. Like, in a way, you could be happy just because they spent so long not even making the playoffs, and with how quickly things get, shaken up to make the playoffs 3 years in a row and do well 3 years in a row, that's impressive. The fact that they had 3 series that were all very tight, like even though with Washington 2 years ago they lost in Game 6, it was still like the closest series anybody had ever seen because they had like endless overtimes in every single game. To lose to Boston 2 years in a row, I think that's what hurts more than them being out, because by the time they were knocked out, I'd already seen Tampa Bay go down and Calgary go down and the Jets go down and everything. So I'm okay with it just because I know that nobody's really knocking Toronto this year because there's so many other teams who did much worse, like Pittsburgh and like Tampa Bay. All I want is next year, don't play Boston in the first round. And then I'll have a little bit more faith, because I said the last time I was on, just before the first round started, Boston seems to be Toronto's kryptonite. And if they can avoid Boston in the first round next year, then they're finally going to go through.
And a lot of neutral hockey fans, though, I think, are saying it's at least entertaining. I've seen a lot of articles saying that, this shows why the NHL is maybe the most entertaining league in all of North American sports, because you have this unpredictability. But then I did read a very good article too, basically saying how it's not good because, it really just makes the regular season meaningless. And then you just have this Mickey Mouse sort of stuff going on at the end. So, I mean, what's your take on it? Like, do you think it's good? It's bad? Because, I mean, I can see both sides of it, really.
I tend to get excited when the underdog teams go through. And I think the first few times that happened, like even as big of a fan of Tampa Bay as I am, when they lost to Columbus, there was a part of me that was like, well, that's something once in a lifetime, because I don't think any team has ever won that much and then lost that much back to back. Like if you look at the amount of games that Tampa Bay lost in the regular season, what would it be? Like
17, I think,
20,
wasn't it?
17 games in the regular season, and they lost 4 in a row. So you could say that 20% of their games that they lost in 1 year were all in one series to Columbus. So in a way that made me not have the reaction you did, just because you hate Tampa Bay, but to feel like this is kind of cool. We're seeing something that we would never see before. But then when you have 8 series in a row of that happen, by the end you're just sort of like, oh, do I have anything left to really get excited about? I think a lot of it does come back to what we talked about last time. This weird way that the teams are matched up with the wild cards and everything, and it not being 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, the way that I think it should be. I think what's going to happen is if there's a really negative reaction to the way that these playoffs end up playing out, the league is probably going to reassess how the matchups are determined in the playoffs. But if somehow some type of miracle on ice happens and, every single hockey fan in North America and Australia and New Zealand gets behind whoever wins, then we're probably just going to continue to have more of the same.
I think we talked about that last time, didn't we? That they all but confirmed next season will continue this, and I think they'll probably rejig it when Seattle comes in 2 seasons' time, because then you'll have 32 teams, so it's a lot of the spread. I'll correct myself, Tampa Bay lost 16 games, so they lost 1/4, 1/5 of their games in the playoffs.
20% of their games to Columbus in the playoffs.
And their coach came out, didn't he, and say, like, Columbus were the best team in April. So, sick burn, bro.
That's like the employee of the month for the NHL.
The funniest thing, actually, I think that came out of the Tampa Bay loss is just their reaction post on Twitter. I'd never seen a team like. Usually, you always see like a team that gets eliminated, just be like, oh, not our night, congratulations, like they're always
complimentary, politely complimentary.
Which, I mean, for the most part, everybody has kind of done that since, because, that was at the time a shock. But, like, the way they posted it, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, because obviously it was a few weeks ago now, but it was just like, we are as shocked as you are, like, we don't have words to say, and, like, it was very open. Here we go, I found it. We don't have any words, and we don't know... And we know you don't want to hear them. We understand your anger, your frustration, your sadness. Everything you're feeling, we get it. This isn't the ending we imagined, and certainly not the one we wanted. Thank you for being there the entire way. Literally, Calgary's was, Sadly, our season has come to an end tonight. Congratulations to the Avalanche. Thanks for your support in 20. Like, that was it. Like, whereas, like, Tampa Bay, they've done a Ben Waterworth. They've said too much. Like, it's just interesting. Like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. It's almost a good thing, I think, is being so honest and kind of really connecting with their fans in saying that.
And just out of curiosity, was Toronto's not again?
Toronto was like, you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
They'd already posted the see you in 2019 tweet as soon as the puck dropped between Boston to Game 7.
Was it, we're nothing if we're not consistent?
Oh, God. Just everybody in Toronto, come on, the Raptors are still in it. Like, come on. Like, they're going to choke in the second round. See what it's like to choke in the second round.
If the Islanders and the Avalanche go out, I may just start having to watch basketball for the rest of the year.
Always a pleasure. We'll probably talk to you soon again about basketball, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, by the time I come back on the show, there will be nothing left to be happy about in hockey.
Apparently, we didn't want to get rid of this guy after the singing before, so he's back here again. I don't need to play Jesus. You know, he's still all right with you. Josh is still here. Hello, Josh.
Thank you.
Now, what's up?
No, I don't know. What is just chatting? Chatting away.
Chilling?
Chatting away. You saw a game yesterday. I'm seeing it today.
Yes.
And I think we both just enjoy the movie. I don't think we're what's the word? You know, like anti either of them, like either the DC or Marvel.
No, like I'm not anti either of them. I do prefer DC still. I think they get unfairly criticised. I think that I mean there are some warranted criticisms on some aspects, but I think that people seem to have a tinted view of them, that they automatically go into them assuming they're bad. I mean, we see it with every DC film that comes out now, where they will say, "Oh, is it going to be an improvement on the and they seem to forget that realistically, 3 of the last 4 DC movies have been universally loved, and even Justice League really wasn't that bad. So, like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Shazam have all been successes. And yet they still go into every single one of these films saying, oh, will it be an improvement? Will they finally get the DCEU back on track? So, yeah, but I mean, the Marvel, it took me a while to catch up on them. For a long time, I'd only seen about 2 or 3 of them, and then sort of at the end of 2017, I binged them all and caught up over the space of like a month or so. So I'm not going to sit on here and admit to being like a giant MCU fan. I love the films. I think they're great. Except for maybe like 2 of them. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the same in any franchise though. Like there are there's at least 1 or 2 in any series that are just like, yeah, let's forget they even exist.
I think the main difference to me between the MCU and the DCEU is that Marvel, they've got a formula and they stick to it. They don't take risks. They've basically just got a cookie cutted sort of middle line which they can just go on, and there's no need for them to sway from the formula. The DCEU try things. They try to be different, and for the most part, I think it gets criticised way too much. I mean, every single film that they have released has been good in their own right. I think Batman v Superman was a brilliant film, and it annoys me that it gets criticism it does. Justice League was fun and great, and it annoys me that it gets the shit that it does. And I think that kind of they all bring their own take on it, and yeah, they maybe don't know what they're doing as much as the MCU, but I think they've had a little less time. They've rushed into some things, but they're starting to steady the ship, and I'm sure they're going to completely level it out soon. So Marvel had a good 5-6 year head start before DCEU even got into gear. So
I disagree, and I disagree on the head start. Because, and it's not part of the DCEU, but it is DC, and that is the Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy. That came out swinging, and it swung hard, and it won hard.
But on that argument, you could backtrack the Marvel films to the very first X-Men, the film that many people argue was the movie that started this superhero trend.
No, you're incorrect. First ever feature-length Marvel movie ever to come out, produced by George Lucas an utter failure of
Howard the
cinema
Duck.
was Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
So
I understand
was
that, but I think that if you're labeling, I know what you're trying to say, though.
And then you had there was a Captain America that was produced in the 80s, which I haven't watched, but I saw a clip, and it looks like the mask that he's wearing is he's literally taken a blue balloon and wrapped it over his head and got a Sharpie.
I've seen. I mean, look. What I mean is that I realised there were comic book movies beforehand, because even before Howard the Duck, you could go way back to obviously the very first Superman.
But then you can go. You can still go back to the Batman.
Yeah, in the 60s. But it's.
Yeah, No. I'm talking if we're talking movies, there was the Batman movies that came out in the late 80s, early 90s.
But then you have Superman 77, and then obviously sort of from there. But my point,
like them.
But what I'm trying to say is when you have this interconnected universe which Marvel established in 2008 with Iron Man. I know what you're trying to say with the Dark Knight movies, but they were only ever meant to be a trilogy. It's like when you could then put the argument in for the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films as well, because that was exactly the same.
See, but again, going into the comic books on this one, you can actually argue that Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is part of the MCU because of the latest Spider-Man movie that we received was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which, have you seen that by chance?
I have it on my computer. I haven't watched it yet.
It is phenomenal. For what it is phenomenal. Don't take it as it's an MCU. Take it it is part of Spider-Man, and it's growing it's not the MCU, it's the Spider universe. It's the multiverse surrounding that. And Nicolas Cage is in it. It makes me so happy. He plays a version of Spider-Man.
What I think I can appreciate about some of these films now, because the MCU has created this world in which movie franchises all need to be a universe, and that they're all interconnected, and they're basically episodes of television shows, which, look, I'm not complaining about. That definitely has its positives, because the MCU has done it the best in terms of that narrative structure over the course of 11 years, and other franchises have come and gone and failed and just not tried to do that. I do, however, miss a good standalone superhero film, which you don't need to have 15 appearances from cameos to set up something here, there, and everywhere else. This is, again, going back to DC. I think that, they're connected, but they almost stand alone on themselves. Shazam, I don't know if you've seen Shazam, but Shazam...
Oh, man, I love Shazam.
Shazam was brilliant, and Shazam was a real throwback to the days when you could just have one of these films and just have fun and not have to feel like let's be honest, going into Endgame, there was all these articles, catch up on the MCU. I probably watched 3 YouTube videos catching me up, even though I've seen them all. You just want to go in there, refresh. We rewatched Infinity War. You didn't need to do that going into Shazam. You didn't really even need to do that going into Justice League. They're done in a manner in which you can watch them as separate entities, and there's a part of that I miss. There's a part of that I like. You can watch the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy as separate films. It maybe connects a little bit better having seen the previous ones, but it's like Star Wars in a way. Star Wars is very much like that.
See, I understand what you're saying, and I think you could possibly track that down, say, the early Batman movies, because you could watch them as singular movies. There's no connection to them at all. James Bond, you don't really need to have seen the first one to know what's happening in the second one, but at the same time, a good standalone action movie like, say, True Lies,
yes,
that was fantastic. Just having a movie where you can go into it and you're like, you know what, come at me, bro, and be entertained.
And look, I agree. And James Bond's a great example because, look, where do I?
So we both are.
Well, look, I've said a lot on 007 download now by iTunes about my thoughts on the Daniel Craig era, and I don't hate it, but it's not my favourite. And I see what they're trying to do, and it's great what they're trying to do, but we're going to have an issue after Bond 25 is, are they going to try and continue what they've done since Casino Royale? Because now they're all so connected, whereas, you didn't have this problem when you would go to a new James Bond actor in the past. Pierce Brosnan was leaving, fine, we get a new one, we move on. Roger Moore finally left in his Zimmer frame, fine, cool, we move on, we don't need to worry about that. Now they're really facing a crisis where, how do they continue this universe post Daniel Craig, make it make sense, and kind of have it go forward that way. And like, well, there's a theories. I think you and I have talked about it before about like the long-standing.
Yeah, we talked
rumor.
about it
the long-standing
last
rumor that
episode.
James Bond is more than just it's more of a title given to an agent, which, you know, can be used, and that is, like, as you said, this is where you could get then Idris Elba coming in, or Gillian Anderson, you know, like, you know, do it that way. But it's just, I miss the days. I like the solo days of every 2 or 3 years, you just had a Bond movie, and it was a Bond movie. And that's what it was.
That's it. It's going back to the formula, but that's it. It's going back to the formula that a Bond movie was, and then they changed it to see how it would go, and it worked for Casino Royale, in my opinion. I think Casino for Quantum of Solace, it's not my favorite movie. It's not my favorite movie at all.
My kitten did a poo about 10 minutes ago, which was more entertaining than Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Skyfall.
Correct.
And I thoroughly enjoyed Spectre.
Which it gets so much hate now. I really do not like revisionist history in the space of 4 years that Spectre all of a sudden is treated as badly as Quantum of Solace. It's not fair. Spectre to me is I put it out there and say Spectre is the best Daniel Craig film. That's not a popular opinion with Casino Royale and Skyfall existing, but Spectre to me is the closest to old school Bond we've had with Daniel Craig, while also keeping the elements introduced in Casino Royale and Skyfall.
That's exactly right, and it's a send up of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's what it is. It's setting up a newer version of that, and which I'm very interested to see how they do with Rami Malek as the new villain.
I'm like, it wasn't really a secret, but I am pumped for Rami Malek as a villain because, you know, I'll be honest, I didn't really know the guy until Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm a bandwagon guy who thinks he was brilliant in Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not going to deny that. He was brilliant in Bohemian Rhapsody. He thoroughly deserved the Oscar. And I think the guy seems like a super cool guy. And I think he's just got that feel about him that he's going to make a good Bond villain. And
just like I've gone blank on the actor's name. That's, oh my goodness, he was just he's a perfect villain.
He is, and he's whispers circulating around that, you know, he is appearing as well. But I mean, this will mark the 3rd consecutive Bond film where they've hired an Academy Award winner as the villain as well. So that's an interesting little stat. And I think arguably, I mean, everybody talks about Javier Bardem being arguably one of the greatest villains of all time in Silver. And then I argued when we ranked all the villains on 007 that, to me, Christoph Waltz was the best Blofeld that we ever had. So,
I totally agree, because I think like Blofeld his character is so, the nuance of him is so, you've got to be, it has to be done right, and like they've done him that many times in previous films. But I think having that character plus the personality that was created by Christoph Waltz, it was perfect.
Yeah,
like that's what he's meant to be. He was meant to be this very subtle. He's essentially the James. If James Bond was a villain, that's what Blofeld had to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not the first time. Yeah, and that's not the first time. I think he's the James Bond-esque villain in this era of James Bond. I mean, we have seen that if James Bond was a villain trope before. I mean, Alec Trevelyan was all but an evil James Bond, you know.
I want to see a reimagining of him.
Yeah, Scaramanga was all but a evil villain version of Bond. You know, we've had it before. But yeah, like in this day and era, and
but there was a personal touch to it, though. It was a beautiful touch to it, making it that his father brought James in, and he hated him for it.
The thing, I just find it very intriguing, and like, look, I often think about whether I'm more of a fan of James Bond or Star Wars, and I don't know if I could make that decision, but I probably would say I'm most excited in the next 12 months for Bond 25. I'm more excited for Bond 25 than I am for Episode 9, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I can be very honest and say I'm more excited for Star Wars.
Well, look, I'm extremely excited for Star Wars. I'm not going to say I'm not, but I think that I I don't like. I think The Last Jedi has just still left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth.
See, but that goes against what you were saying before. In that the Marvel has a pattern and they follow a pattern. There was no pattern that was followed in Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
But how's that going against? But how's that going against what I'm saying before?
Because you were saying that DC are good because of the fact that they try new things. And this is something that Star Wars are doing. They were trying.
I agree. I didn't say that Star Wars follow a formula. I agree with you. I think Star Wars do try different things. We saw that with the prequels. We saw that with that. And I just because you try new things doesn't mean it always works. I think what DC does with trying new things works. I think what Star Wars have done in 7 of the 8 of the films, or 9 of the 11 films, if you include the. How many of them? No, I'm doing the maths wrong. 8 out of the 10 films, if you include Solo and Rogue One, have worked. I just think that, they tried something in Last Jedi, and I think it didn't work. I just think it was rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. And the more I think about it, the more I dislike that film.
I literally just want to slap you across the face.
Bring it on, bitch.
No, but like, the thing is, though, when it comes to Star Wars, it's the fact that they hire a different director for each movie. Like, I think there was a continuity. I think there was a continuity during episodes 1 to 3 because they had George Lucas as director and producer, and then New Hope was directed by Lucas, and then you had the Empire Strikes Back was directed by another person who changed it up, focused on the characters, and that made it a better movie.
But the difference with those, though, is that George Lucas was still involved in the original 3, and that's why they had a continued tone, whereas the Disney ones are just...
And this is where I'm getting my point to, though, because, The Force Awakens, didn't really have much to it. Like, JJ's really good. We'll agree. JJ is a good director. He has a vision. Rian Johnson did what he thought was best as a director from his vision. There was no connection there. Like, he took the script that JJ had and he went, let's change it a bit. And
a bit?
Yeah. Yeah.
He looked at that script, went, okay, bin. All right, pen, blank paper. Star Wars Episode 8. Thoughts.
So here we go. But here's the interesting part. So JJ's back in the driver's seat, but he's also hired. He has hired George Lucas as
to save it.
As a what do they call him?
A consultant.
Yes, as a consultant, and they're like, yes, do that. That makes me happy.
That's like if Michael Crichton was still alive, right? And he saw what they've done with Jurassic. He's been dead for nearly a decade now. If he saw Fallen Kingdom and Jurassic World, and look, here's my thing, like Fallen Kingdom.
Actually, what is your opinion on those movies? I actually don't know that.
I'm getting there. Fallen Kingdom was a huge steer away from what we'd had in the first 4. Right? We tried something different, and a lot of people hate on Fallen Kingdom now for that. I hate on the twist with the human clone. Dumb. Stupid. But I appreciated Fallen Kingdom's balls to try something. It's similar. Fallen Kingdom is very similar to The Last Jedi, in which they both try something different. I think the difference is that Fallen Kingdom sticks the landing, because at the end of that film, it opens it up to a point where you're like, wow, I want to see what's happening next. What do we get at the end of The Last Jedi? A fucking kid with a broom looking at space.
I'm more excited for the books that she had in the drawer, but anyway.
But seriously, Josh, you have to admit to me, as the biggest Star Wars fan than me, that you can't be excited for a movie when there's a kid with a broom looking at space.
I am actually.
Oh, don't give me that bullshit.
But what you said about the Fallen Kingdom, I think this is my opinion. It's a bit of a theory, and I think what they've done is they've made it so it can be like its own little universe, like the Jurassic Park universe. Let's I don't know what you would call it. Jurassic World. It would have to be called Jurassic World. I go Jurassic World, San Francisco, the T-Rex destroying San Francisco, or the velociraptors of Arizona, or the pterodactyls of Argentina, like that sort of thing. I wanted to see how the lion went against the T-Rex. That would have been
I think
pretty
the overall
cool
thing with Jurassic Park is that at the end of the day, Jurassic Park isn't in the same vein as Star Wars just because Star Wars was created to create a universe. It was created to have trilogies and stories that spread across multiple movies, and in such a universe that you can have your Rogue Ones, you can have your Solos, you can have your Clone Wars TV shows, your Rebels, your Mandalorians, you can have all of these things.
Mandalorian!
That too. Whereas Jurassic Park, nothing will ever remotely touch the original, and because it was such a blockbuster, it was always going to have a sequel, and there's only so much you can do with the material you have. That's why Michael Crichton only ever wrote 2 books. Admittedly, he only ever wrote the second one because Steven Spielberg told him to, because he wanted to make a sequel. So he's like, please, Michael, write me another book so I can make a sequel of it. But it's a gift that keeps on giving because, Fallen Kingdom had a lot of elements from the Lost World novel that they'd never used before. So, I think that the Jurassic World franchise is now it's just a cash cow because no one expected the success of Jurassic World, so automatically Fallen Kingdom was always going to come. Wasn't that loved by critics, and therefore it's still getting a sequel, obviously, because it made so much money. I think Jurassic World itself isn't as good anymore if you actually go back and watch it. I think in ranking all the Jurassic Park films, Jurassic World would be the second worst out of all of them. But, yeah, the point is, I don't think there's ever been a truly terrible Jurassic Park film. Jurassic Park 3 is close, but it's still got its fun moments to it. And I'm not saying, and to backtrack, I'm going on here. I'm not saying The Last Jedi is the worst film ever made. It's not Dirty Dancing. It's not the Emoji Movie. Like, I will always watch The Last Jedi. I will always, in any rewatch of Star Wars, I will always watch it. I will never not watch it. But right now, my rankings easily have that at the bottom. And to me, it is the least good of all the Star Wars movies.
Jurassic Park, is it
3?
4?
3.
3, yeah, no. No. Not a bad Jurassic Park movie. Bull crap! A teenager, a prepubescent teenager able to steal Tyrannosaurus Rex piss.
If you read the novelization, Josh, where it is explained how he does it.
Do you think a moviegoer wants to do that?
This is coming from a man who is trying to use that exact same argument for a lot of the Star Wars holes that we talked about 12 months ago.
No, but you get them in video games, mate. There's no Jurassic... an awesome Survivor game. If Rockstar Gaming came up with a game where you are the only person on an island with genetically enhanced dinosaurs...
We could have had a lot worse, Josh. There was a lot of the development hell that Jurassic Park 4 had before it became Jurassic World. The leaked scripts, one of the most famous ones, was essentially involving human-dinosaur hybrid soldiers that took over the world. Now, there's a fine line between jumping a shark and not, but that's fucking jumping over a water tank. Do you know what that is?
You know what that is? That's Independence Day 2. That's what that is.
Oh, the funny thing about Independence Day 2, right? Like, I saw that movie. I was like, my God, this is terrible. What have they done? So I watched the original, because the original would be in my top 10 films of all time on a plane trip last year. And then I said to Mallory, I'm like, Mallory, you've never seen this before. And hello, that's some milk. I want some milk.
No, it's a water bowl.
Josh's child is in the room again.
I say hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Say hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
Oh, you're not getting a drink if you don't say hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Oh,
Good
blackmail fathering. Hello, Gabriel.
Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah. Look, there's Ben. There's Ben.
Hi.
Can you say hi, Ben?
Look.
Hi, Ben.
Looney Tunes. Meet. Our listeners
You
right
say
now
hi,
have
Bugs
no
Bunny.
idea what's going on right now.
Hi, Bugs Bunny.
Hi, Bugs Bunny. Hi, Daffy Duck.
Can you say, we'll see you later, Ben?
See you later, Ben.
See you later,
See you
Daffy.
later.
Oh, you've got both in the room. What's going on?
Say hi. Hi, Ben.
Hello.
Ben.
You want to hear the coolest laugh in the world?
Yes.
This is cool. Hold on.
Josh abusing his child on camera. Pretty good.
All right. Off you guys go. I'll be out there in a minute. Do you need more Octonauts on TV?
Yes.
Don't touch. Don't touch, Gabriel.
I'm on Ninjago.
We have Ninjago after.
I really wish this was live. This would be hilarious right now.
No, keep it in.
A lot of Octonauts. He just had that.
This is the arguments I got to deal with.
You know what's hilarious? In 20 years' time, like, doesn't mean like we had parts of this when we were kids. I agree.
Yeah.
They just had that much.
Yeah, and you can have some. You can have that much Ninjago after this one. Okay, off you go.
Oh, you got so excited for that! Wow. Parenting 101 by
Anyway.
Josh. So I was saying, I made Mallory watch Independence Day for the first time. She kind of looked at me and she was like, I mean, it was good, not as good as you make it out to be. I'm like, oh. So anyway, the point is, afterwards I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch Independence Day 2 again. It's been a couple of years. I've got to give it another chance. I got like 35 minutes into it. I had to turn it off. I couldn't. Like, I'm not a person who likes to give up on things, even if they're terrible. Like, I sat through Dirty Dancing. I sat through the Emoji Movie. Admittedly, I did have to because we were podcasting about it. But at the same time, like, I just couldn't sit through Independence Day 2. It is that bad.
I've never watched it.
Don't.
I choose not to.
It's just, it's
the same with Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no, I've
Same
not
with
seen it.
Ghostbusters.
Not seen it.
And on our reviews. But here's another thing. What is your thoughts on the new Chris Hemsworth Men in Black?
Look, it's not Men in Black, because Men in Black is Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. Admittedly, they did Men in Black 3, half of it with Josh Brolin, but Josh Brolin's incredible. I will go see.
Love Josh.
I will go see it. Look, this to me is the era of movie making we're in, because we live in this world where everything's a reboot and everything's got to have something in it. I will go see it still, because I think Chris Hemsworth is a better comedic actor than he is a serious actor, and I think he's realising that. I think audiences are realising that. I think that's why they're turning Thor into what he is. No spoilers out of Endgame. But also, I think Chris Hemsworth is a funny dude. And I never used to like Chris Hemsworth. I hated him in Home and Away. He was a wooden piece of abs that just couldn't act, and how he became famous, I'm like, what the hell? But now I like the guy. He seems like a nice, genuine guy. And the chick who plays...
Yeah, go.
The chick who plays, who is Valkyrie in Thor, who's going to be I like her. I think the trailers sell it well, but it's not going to be the same. It's no different to huge Pokemon fan as a kid. Just loved the crap out of Pokemon. And I just don't know how to feel about Detective Pikachu, because I, like many Pokemon fans, never pictured Pikachu as looking like a furry little rat. It just looks odd.
That's the thing, that he's meant to look like that. He's meant to be a furry.
I understand that. It's like Sonic. I'm a mad Sonic fan, and you tell me that you're making a live-action Sonic movie with Jim Carrey playing Dr. Robotnik. Shut up and take my money. But then when you see the posters, you automatically go, ooh, what's, like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Is that a thing? Is that an actual thing?
What? That Sonic?
Sonic.
Didn't you know? This is a real thing that's coming out at the end of the year. Did you not know? Google this.
No!
They've released posters because everyone's complaining about how Sonic looks is a real thing. So the end of this year, we've got a Sonic movie.
Jim Carrey is Dr. Oh, that's cool.
Jim Carrey, Dr. Robotnik, yeah. But, like, again, like, I effing love the Giant King, the Lion King. Like, just... You and I, that was our movie.
It is not a live action.
It's terrible, but I will still go see it. But it looks terrible. We live in a world where this is
Dr. Eggman.
Yes,
Robotnik.
It's just
Ben Schwartz as Sonic. James Marsden as Tom Wachowski.
Oh, we love James Marsden.
Neil McDonough. Yeah, okay. Tika Sumpter, have no idea who she is. Adam Polly, no idea who she is. Natasha Rothwell, have no idea who she is. But so with Detective Pikachu, though, like the whole storyline actually comes from a video game that came out not long ago. I think it was the
Japanese one. Yeah. I'm not against the idea. I think the idea is interesting.
funny thing with that, though, is originally it was meant to be Danny DeVito doing the voice of Pikachu. Because that in the comic book, the English version sounds so much like Danny DeVito.
Look, I don't have a thing against the idea of it. I think it's an interesting concept, and like, and I don't want to say I hate it. Like, I don't want to be one of these fanboys who, like, you brought up Ghostbusters, and I'm not saying you're one of these people, and I'm not saying everyone was one of these people. There were definitely people who refused to see it on grounds of sexism. I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying there were some. For the majority of people, which I think got construed into a sexism debate, which wasn't, I think people just don't like things being messed with that
don't need to be messed with.
And it's not a case of like you're jumping on a trend of this level where it comes to diversification, which I understand that, yes, that the majority of the film landscape and pop culture landscape can be dominated by the white male. I'm not debating that as truth. The difference is that you have iconic characters across pop culture that are of all different genders and skin colours and sexualities. You don't need to take ones from history and change it to try and create that diversification, because that creates divide. And I think that's the issue people are not understanding. Like Captain Marvel, for example. Great that they have a female superhero, Wonder Woman. Great that they have a female superhero, Black Panther. Great they have a non-white, he's black. It's called Black Panther. A black superhero. It's great that they have these, but they're original entities. They didn't have to go, oh fuck, we need to make Superman a woman.
Okay.
If you tell me Wonder Woman used to be a man, Josh.
No, Captain Marvel originally was a man. Nick Fury was originally white.
Things like that, I think are slightly different in the fact that when you have... How do I put this? Like, if you get these sort of minor ones, which I think, like, that aren't overall, like, I don't know how to word this. I mean... No. It's tricky because I think I know what I'm trying to say, and it's got nothing to do with me being feared that I'm going to sound racist or anything. It's got nothing to do with that. It's a case of like, okay, James Bond, for example, Felix Leiter. Obviously,
he's gone through that many different,
he's been old,
actors.
He's been young, he's been this. I mean,
I think he's only been played by the same actor twice. And they weren't even consecutive movies.
But the thing with Felix Leiter is that, like, he's just such a side person, which to me, he's never really described who he is. Like, it's just, he's a helper, so you can easily get away with that. And I think in a lot of these comic book movies, you can easily transfer what somebody looks like. It's, I don't even know where I'm going with this. The point is that I think that you can have a level of rebooting things, but ideas that James Bond should be a woman it's just ridiculous. Like, that's like saying in 30 years' time, oh, fuck, we better make Wonder Woman a man. Like, it's just...
Look, there are times where it works, and one of the times where it's worked is the way that they do Doctor Who.
Doctor Who is easily... You can do it. Like, I didn't get... I've never watched Doctor Who. Never watched it, but I understand...
Me either.
I understand enough about how... And I think Doctor Who is very clever in that when they wrote it in the 60s, they automatically did it in a way where you can transition the Doctor into somebody different easily to open the door for new actors playing this for it to last as long as it has. So to me, Doctor Who is easily done as let's make it a woman. And going back to my point about James Bond, that if, for example, in Bond 25, to get rid of Daniel Craig, they do this fan theory, which if people aren't familiar with, that the words James Bond, the title of James Bond, isn't a name, it's a title given to an agent. If that is confirmed, I'm not against...
To the 007 agent.
So every agent in the history of MI6 who's 007 is just going to be called James Bond. And look, there are definitely ways around that which it doesn't work. But look, the point is, I'm not against that. I think that is a good way of adding continuity across 25 films. And if that is the case, then if you then had a female James Bond, I wouldn't be opposed to it. If you then had a black James Bond, I wouldn't be opposed to it, because you can work that into it. I think that's clever. But, like, for them to turn around and say Bond 26 was just, that wasn't a theory, and like, we you know, James Bond is going to be black, or James Bond's going to be a woman just because, you know, we're trying this trend out right now where we've got to diversify. Like, no, because if you flip things over, it would be a huge outcry if all of a sudden Shaft became white. You know, Blade became white. Wonder Woman became a man. Like, you know, you couldn't do it because, and this is the double standards of the world we live in right now, that people right now are saying, oh, Ben, you're a straight white man, you're in the patriarchy, you can't say that. No, fuck it, I can say that, because if you want to be, quote, sacred about a character, then if you can hold that for a one gender or one skin color, you can do it for all genders and skin colors, and therefore you can do it for that side of things. I just came across as a prick. I don't care.
No, well, I totally agree with you. That's the thing. This is a funny thing. Like, we differ on a lot of things, like in religion, politics, and all that. But we seem to agree quite well when it comes to this particular issue. What I think is, where was I going with this? What I think is really, really dumb is the fact that the people who cause all this crap on that side, who start yelling, oh, not a woman, it's not this, it's not that, they neglect the individual that's there and the merits that person has in order to get to where they're at.
Completely agree.
And that's the thing, though, is like, if people like that, and commonly what I usually say, I say the left, and that's the label I've put on those people, and it's probably incorrect in some regards, because I am aware that there are people who say that they are left-leaning who are not like this. But for the way I talk, the left put this thing on where they group people. And then they go, you got the transgenders, you've got the whites, you've got the blacks, you've got the women, you've got the ones who don't know what they are, you've got this, you got that, you got that. And you never, ever, ever, ever get this individual. It's this person who is a transgender, this person who is a homosexual, this person who is from Nagasaki or whatever. They always group them. The right always go, this person.
Yeah. And a lot of that comes down
to... Stop there.
Yeah. I mean, for example, there was, in the last couple of days, there was that attack of a journalist at that Senator Anning's, whatever. I'm not getting into the things that, but the way the headlines came about was female reporter attacked. Like, and it's just, you don't need to define a person's gender in something like that. A person attacked. That's all it is. It's not more weighted just because this person happens to be a female. It shouldn't matter, you know.
It should go on the merits. Like, if it was a journalist, then say, yes, a journalist was attacked at a Fraser Anning
that's
rally.
all you have to say.
Yeah. And that labels it enough. What I hate, and I absolutely hate this, and someone, one of our old friends from high school put a thing up of this a presidential candidate in the States who happens to be homosexual kissing his husband after announcing he's running for the thing, and everyone's going, yes, great, we've got a gay man running, I'm like, okay, what is the difference between a gay man and a straight man in the bedroom? That's the only difference, in my opinion. Like, there's what they do with relationships, there is nothing different. It's just to the person that they're in love with.
Yeah.
So why? And I'm not saying that, like, I'm not saying that a choice for anything. I'm just saying, look, I love my wife. He loves his husband.
I know what you're trying to say, and I agree in the most part, because I think that this goes back to my point when it comes to, you know, mentioning things like Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman. You know, it's so hyped in the media that, oh, here we have Black Panther, you know, so groundbreaking for non-white people because they've finally got this, and Wonder Woman's so groundbreaking because it's female. Yeah. Like, my argument's always been, and we've talked a lot about this on the Oz Network, is that I can't wait until we live in a day where we just don't have to single out things like this. Like, I go into Wonder Woman watching it because I want to see a good film. I go into Black Panther wanting to. I go into Captain Marvel. I'm not going into this going, oh, I can't wait to see a woman superhero. Oh, I can't wait to see a black superhero. It doesn't matter to me.
You haven't got a notebook saying, all right, what racist thing am I going to see in here, and I'm going to write this blog.
It doesn't bother me. And like this is, I read a review for Endgame before we started recording today, where somehow they still had to fit into it. Oh, and Marvel's diversifying this, so it's not just all white men moving to the future. Like, this is what creates divide in today's society, which is already fractured enough with people having a voice out there because you have social media and the internet, and everyone thinks their opinion matters. At the end of the day, the fight is for equality, and in an equal world, we should not have to single out anybody based on race, gender, sex, anything. We're all human beings trying to live freely on planet Earth for the best future for our children, our grandchildren, everything else. So I completely agree with you. The guy running for president of the USA, he may be gay. Fantastic. And I understand that the media is like, oh, the first openly gay man. Okay, great. That is a bit of groundbreaking.
This is the point I was getting at. Because on this post, the person goes, I hope they get in. And I've just gone, that's all well and good. What are his policies?
Exactly. And that's what I was about to say. Like, there is that groundbreaking. It's no different to when Barack Obama got nominated, when he got elected. It was fantastic. America elected their first black president. The day a woman becomes president, that will be in the news. The day a gay man, a gay woman. When Mitt Romney ran, it was all about him being openly Mormon. Okay, great. They're ticking those boxes. Fantastic. But exactly what you said. You should not vote for a person based on something that would make them the first. Like, you go into these things judging a person on their policies. Now, I know for most of my life I have voted for one party. I have been a member of that political party, and that's for the most part because I do genuinely believe in what they stand for, and that's fine. You can be like you just ran for politics based on that, and that's fine. People can have that opinion. That's great. The difference is that I'm still open to voting for other sides of things. I would say this right now. I would have voted for Malcolm Turnbull over Bill Shorten. If I was allowed to vote, I'm not allowed to vote in this election. That's another story. But I would have voted for Malcolm Turnbull over Bill Shorten had he run on policies of going forward with the Australian Republic. I know Bill Shorten's got a similar thing like that under his platform, but Malcolm Turnbull comes from the place where he was the guy head of the Republic debate in 1999. So I know this guy comes from that. So you vote for something that means thing to you.
I'm sort of changing my mind on the Republic thing, and it's I don't know why. I have to say though, like, regardless of where you stand on it, there is a bit of a petition now where the palace is actually starting to heavily consider it, and that's making Prince Harry the head of state, the Governor General of Australia.
Stupid, absolutely stupid. That is a dumb idea, because it's no different to when Tony Abbott frickin' gave Prince Philip a knighthood. It's what is the point? Because at the end of the day, I mean, there's no point of a Governor General. A Governor General is a figurehead. They're the Queen's representative, and in the day and age we live in, there's no point of having a Queen's representative because it's a pointless status symbol, and to have Prince Harry is dumb in itself because he's the grandson of the person. You need to have an unbiased person to quote represent that person. It's just stupid.
Well, technically, back in the day, any representative of the royal house was a member of the royal house. Back in the day, this is going like back in the medieval, like when the actual monarchy had full control and power. I get what you're saying, but like at the same time, I would love to see like the president of of Australia. That would be awesome. Could you imagine like so like instead of having like hail to the chief, it's like the guy walks down Kangaroo One. That's named the aircraft Kangaroo One. And then the next minute you just hear ding 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 woo.
Look, I think we're doing a Brink thing where we're going all over the shop with what we're trying to talk about. I think going back to
I think there is an underlying theme though.
Yeah. Look, the Republic thing.
There are dicks out there, and we don't like them.
We can talk about that another time, the Republic thing, because that's definitely something I like to talk about. I think the point that you're trying to make, though, is a very valid point, and sadly, there is a large proportion of people who do this. They vote based on the merits of the person running, and it's not to take away from whoever they are from what they're running from. Look, we're Australians. We don't vote in the US election, and we have everyone in the world I think has an opinion on it because it's America, and whether we like the country or not, they are the world's superpower, that, you know, the most powerful nation in the world. So I think kind of what happens over there, and we've seen it with Trump, it does affect the rest of the world. So we do have a right to have a bit of an interest in who will, excuse me, be elected. But going back to my long-winded point here is that, like, your friend who posts that about this guy, if he wants him to win based on his policies, great. If you're wanting him to win purely on the fact that he's a gay man, well, it's not really something I think that you know, can base it on, because it's
no.
It would be great that America voted an openly gay man it would show great progress in society, but I would hope he was voted on his policies and what he stands for, and not just for, hey, let's put a gay guy in office to tick that off the box. In 4 years' time, we'll vote a lesbian. In 4 years' time, we'll vote a transgender. And we may as well tick it all off. So in 20 years' time, we can look back in history and go, hey, look how diverse we were. Now let's go back to voting white people in again. Like, that's to me that kind of what people would do it on. And that's dumb. Vote for people based on their merits, not on who they are. That's an equal society.
Well, that's the interesting thing too. Like, a lot of, like, here's an interesting thing. Like, they say there's a lot of diversity. There's still a lot of things in common with some of the like the previous presidents of the United States. I can tell you now, well, Trump's a Mason. What's his name? Barack Obama was a Mason. The Bushes are all Masons. They're also part of another secret society called the Skull and Bones at Yale University. Like, there are all these other little miniature connections that people forget to hear about. And I think, and I'm not saying that Freemasonry, it gives you a leg up in any manner, shape or form in the political spectrum. It is definitely not the case, and I can tell you that from first-hand experiences. It is not the case. But I think there's a lot of links that people forget to look at. They just go straight for the things that they see openly and not the things they see behind closed doors. And that's why I think you really need to, it's all merits. Like, screw what the person does. Go on merits, and
one thing I've really noticed too, in particularly the Australian election right now, and I mean, everything now is all about a person's past. So,
and it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous because, you know,
I'm guilty of sharing. I like that post I shared the other day about Bill Shorten. I honestly thought that was a new news story. I didn't know that it actually happened back in like 2015 or whatever it was.
Long time ago.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that. I just went, that sucks to be you, bro, and shared it. And that was the mentality I had when I saw that. But again, and I personally just don't like Bill Shorten. Do you know who he reminds me of?
I would love to know who he reminds you of.
And I hope he doesn't listen to the show anymore.
Oh, yes. Bill and I fell out a long time ago, Josh. Don't worry.
No, not Bill. Not Bill. He reminds me of Peter. Peter.
No, Peter he doesn't definitely listen to the show. When we try to get all the old co-hosts on the show, he basically fobbed me off the most. No, look, I think at the end of the day, we live in a society where everyone has a voice. They all think they can be heard. They all think their opinions matter. And when you have a society like that, we have just such a cross-cultural viewpoint which stirs a pot. Everyone gets so infused with rage over the smallest things. And I would like to live in a world where in 10 years' time it's going to get better. I don't think it will. 10 years ago we were saying exactly the same thing. That, oh God, look at this society we live in 10 years. Like, every 10 years it happens. We're going to look back at today and think today was tame compared to what we're going to have in the future. Like, that's sad fact of reality. That's how we always will.
Well, I have a feeling I'll end up being in jail for my views one day. I really do. And my views are conservative, and that's...
The famous saying, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. And
that's exactly,
you know, I don't know. Welcome to the Brink, where everything, it's, what is it, the Whose Line Is It Anyway? Welcome to Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points are real, but they don't matter, or something like that. Like, you know.
There was a thing I watched where they were doing, like, calling out to the audience, and they were, like, asking for things, and one of the person was like, Hitler, and like, sweet, we'll do a joke about Hitler, and then the producer goes, no, you can't do a joke about Hitler. So throughout the entire show they were going, like, any joke they could do was like, where the producer doesn't like jokes about him because he's Hitler. and it's like, we should be allowed to joke about things. We should be able to talk about things. We should be able to, like, what happens when you get offended? Nothing. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
You just your house doesn't collapse. You don't have a heart attack, and my studio is being invaded by 2-year-olds. So I'm going to end it here, mate.
Yes, I think it's probably a good idea. Josh, we've done our usual and just spent about 50 minutes talking about absolute dribble, but it's always been fun. Thank you for singing. Thank you for talking, and we will talk to you next time we talk to you.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
All right. You can talk a little bit if you like, because you're so into this episode.
This was an episode of The Brink where lots of things happened.
Yes, apparently.
Such as us asking questions and answering questions, and Ben and the other guy, what's his face, Josh, singing some songs.
And Colin was on it too. He talked about the playoffs. I was
getting to Colin in the playoffs.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I heard you.
Do you now? Just quickly, I mean, you've obviously been paying close attention to the playoffs, but I mean, had the Canucks snuck in, like, you guys would have had a chance this year.
Boo.
Are you going for anyone?
Boo. No, not really.
Do you know who's left?
Also, no Canadian teams.
No, but okay, I'll give you these teams. You're going to give me one team. You don't have to give me an explanation, but just tell me between Colorado, San Jose, New York Islanders, Carolina, you have St. Louis and Dallas, and Boston, Columbus.
Columbus, St. Louis, and San Jose.
They're the three teams that I'm going to go for. Bloody cheater. Yeah, no, look, I really don't give a shit as long as it's not Boston.
I'm so glad you feel that way. That is also the way I feel.
Just stop winning, Boston.
And Dallas. Dallas is dumb.
Yeah, I just Texan sporting teams. As I said with Colin, it's like I have nothing. It's a state. I enjoy my time in Texas. The Grand Prix, great venue. Austin's great city. But we're talking about Dallas. I've only seen the airport. I'd like to go to Dallas properly. I'd like to go to Houston properly. But it's just your sporting teams. Like, I like Florida. I just don't like the sporting teams in Florida. I like Boston. I just don't like your sporting teams. So, I like Perth. I don't like the sporting teams. Mallory's picking her nails, so that's pretty exciting. I don't know if we're going to be doing any recordings in Dunedin. We might just wait till we get back. We'll see how we feel, but yay, Dunedin. We're going to go watch the Highlanders play at Forsyth Bar Stadium.
Woo!
Home of where we saw Shania Twain. A few more people, I think, will be at that Shania Twain concert than at the... But I just want to point out that in an era when all my sporting teams suck, Highlanders won their first 2 games and they lost like the next 7 or 8, and then they won the last 2. So they're up against Nook's team, the Chiefs, the Waikato Chiefs, bro. So good Hurricanes, Highlanders. Fuck, I can't even remember the name of my. Love them that much. I always call them the Hurricanes. Anyway, so maybe we'll do a recording at that game just for shits and gigs. But in the meantime, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe on all the relevant channels, and tell Josh that he did well and forget lyrics this week, because he did. I said it in the segment. Best I've ever heard. I honestly sound at limb, say the best I ever heard.
Go, Josh. Much better than my forget the lyrics.
And then we kind of threw it away by talking about controversial topics, as we always do. But whatever. No one listens to these anyway. So, thanks for tuning in. Until next week, keep
sucking those oranges, Cobra Cargill.
And
good night.